I felt like I was supposed to do this, so here we go. We're talking about the temptation of sin and when to fight or flight and how. This is because you need to know the difference. It's really difficult to fight something you're a slave to, and the enemy keeps you a slave through shame, guilt, and condemnation in sin. When you are free and healed and delivered of sin, you have the authority over it through Christ. Then you can follow these steps, discern the sin or the temptation, invite the Holy Spirit in, bind any evil spirits and take your thoughts captive, and then loose the attributes of God in your life. One thing we want to look at before we keep going is that temptation is not sin. Temptation is the invitation of sin, but it's not the same thing. We know that because Jesus was tempted and he did not sin. But Jesus also clarified in Matthew 5:21-30 that sin starts in the heart or in the mind, which is the intention. So he talks about if you look at a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery. If you have hate in your heart against a brother, you've already committed murder. It starts with the intention. There are a lot of verses that talk about fleeing from sin, so we know it's a very serious topic. Paul is talking in all these. He says, flee from idolatry. He's telling Timothy, flee from youthful passions. Then specifically talking about sexual immorality, he says, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. Next, we're going to look at specific strategies of the enemy or Satan or the tempter or the accuser, which is actually just what Satan means, but he's the tempter. There's a Bible verse that says God cannot and does not tempt, but so all temptations are going to come directly from Satan. It's important to look at strategies because Paul teaches us in 2 Corinthians 2:11, so that we would not be outwitted by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his designs. In this context, he's talking about forgiveness, but this also applies to obedience. So we want to be aware of the strategies. One of those major strategies the enemy uses is tempting you when you are most vulnerable. These are vulnerability points. One, when you're tired. This can be mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. That's a great opportunity for the enemy to tempt you. Another one similarly related is intoxicated. This doesn't have to be just with drugs and alcohol. That simply means not sober-minded. So that could be with music or food or with the wrong company. If you're not sober-minded, you're an easy target for the enemy. Next one is alone. This can be physically alone, but this can also mean mentally alone or even emotionally alone. When you have no help and no accountability, you are an easier target for the enemy to tempt and attack. The last one is distracted. I put this one on here because if you are off of your mission and your purpose, then you don't feel like you have anything worth fighting for. Proverbs says that where there's no vision, the people perish. So if you do not know what your purpose in life is, you are an easier target of the enemy to pull you away from God. So now let's go through the solutions. What do you do?